Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, a member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast that you want to listen to. And check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company. Use promo code Beef Squash. Get 10% off of something. Dude, best soap on earth. I promise you. Try it out. It's really amazing soap. And Tape Armor as well as Rolls Gear. And you can find all of our old episodes on bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and me and Randy had a conversation. Well, Randy's been doing Gracie Survival Tactics. This was day one for him. And we talked a little bit about, kind of just different techniques as well as going back to the basics. And it was a pretty good conversation. We talked a little bit about ninja training as well. So I really hope you guys enjoy this episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us on all your different platforms. Review us, shoot us a message, do all sorts of weird stuff. And buy a t-shirt, buy a patch on bjjshow.com. And hope you guys enjoy this episode. Sounds pretty legit. So it's a full week of training?
Full week, Monday through Friday. I get the opinion, though, that Friday is probably going to be kind of like a testing day, so they have you teach the techniques back to them because it's an instructor certification.
Oh, nice.
So, they're going to have us teach techniques back. So it's different. I mean, it's interesting getting to learn from somebody. I mean, he's a third-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, so obviously he has a different take on some techniques, and some of the fundamentals might be a little bit different, tweaked. Same idea, but some fine-tuning in there.
Cool.
But I'm digging the application of law enforcement. I'm digging that part of it.
That's the best. Oh, dude. We've talked about before, obviously you and me, about jiu-jitsu for law enforcement. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we were just talking about Randy's going to a week-long class. What was it about, Randy? Getting certified in what?
It's Gracie Survival Tactics is what it's called.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, wasn't Henner and Huron on a Shark Tank last night? Did you see that?
I heard about it. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. Yeah. And so Hiro Gracie is the one that's leading this class with a guy named Ivandro.
Okay.
Henner's not there in this class. And then he's actually Hiro is doing a 2-part seminar on Saturday. And if I'm off of work, I was thinking about going to that. But yeah, so the class basically, for those that don't know, Gracie Survival Tactics is Gracie University's class that they've designed for law enforcement, military, federal law enforcement, and it's just kind of the techniques that are the most proven to be effective for controlling, arresting, or defending in that realm. So it's a instructor level certification. It's a national certification, pretty well respected within law enforcement and military. But so far so good. So far so good.
That's good. And you were saying like you guys are just doing the basics right now, kind of getting everybody warmed up, getting into it.
Yeah, I mean there's a diverse experience level within this class. I mean you've got people in there that have never done jiu-jitsu a day in their life, but they work in law enforcement, which that alone is a scary thought if you ask me.
Yeah.
But and then you've got people. I mean I don't know. We haven't really gone into depth as to what people's belt ranks are or whatever, but just looking around the room, you've got a pretty diverse amount of experience and skill level in the class. And so the first day was really just kind of intro and basic mount, escape, trap, and roll was the one they went over. A couple different variants of trap and roll. And they went over basic armbar, but with a couple tweaks to it that I actually kind of liked as far as defending against some of the different counters.
Right.
Pretty good stuff, pretty fundamental level stuff, but there's always takeaway, and I think from the instructor standpoint, my biggest takeaway today was delivery methods. Some different delivery methods for techniques I've already taught. So that's been interesting.
It's really good to get a different perspective on the way things are taught, especially because everybody's got a little tweak, everybody's got a little something, and it seems to be that certain things work for some people, other things work for other people. Like we were talking about before we started recording, the control from mount. And it is kind of funny though that we only have trained a little bit together, but yet we still knew exactly, like, you knew exactly what I was talking about. I was like, oh, you mean the hooks under the butt? And you're like, yeah, exactly like that. Well, not that, but like you knew what I was talking about based on our mutual coach, Brian. And then like there's always other places that teach it. So then, or teach it differently. And now you have a third option on how to control mount.
Absolutely, and I think it comes down to what your goal is from mount if you're on top, and that's where this class differs from, which I can relate to having taught law enforcement for the past few years. The end goal differs when you talk about law enforcement or military using jiu-jitsu versus sport jiu-jitsu players or hobbyists, right? So,
yeah.
If you're on the mat, you're looking for a submission. If you're in a tournament, you're looking for submission or points. If you're a cop or law enforcement, you're looking to survive and or handcuff this person. And so it's a whole lot different. And I think that's where some of those variants come into play. The variation they showed today using what they call hooks, it's a different type of hook than what most of us think about in jiu-jitsu. And kind of switching sides and using hip control and kind of turning yourself in a way. It's hard to explain on a podcast, but the method they're using and they're employing is strictly for control. It's not to isolate a submission or anything like that, because submissions really don't have much of a place in law enforcement. They really don't. And so it's more about control from that position, and it is different than what you and I have learned, which still, even in and of itself, what we're talking about, the position we learned from Brian is still an outstanding control position for the mount. So,
I mean, I've used it to. Thankfully, I've never had to use it in at least mount control in any self-defense situation, trying to control somebody. But like, it definitely has a wide range of applications, and that's the thing too. Like, so based on the stuff they're showing, based on some of the other things, and just your experience in general, because I kind of feel this way. I feel there are certain sport aspects that do work for self-defense, as long as you have the right mindset for, like, either controlling the opponent or even having to submit them if it is like legit self-defense, not like trying to control a suspect or something. Like a good arm, like an inverted arm bar, or straight choking the person out, or playing open guard to keep them from stomping on you. Like, from your experience, have you seen like certain things that some people are like, that'll never work in self-defense, actually work out in self-defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think almost anything you apply in sport could technically work in reality if somebody doesn't address it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the adverse is true too. A lot of the weird shit that we, take for granted in jiu-jitsu, like the old bench press from mount. You think, I'm gonna armbar the crap out of this guy if he does that. Well, if you wait too long or you don't respect it and you don't address it, it could actually work and get you off a mount.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, obviously there's certain things that maybe are less advisable in a self-defense situation, but it's all looking at it from this like omnipresent perspective, where the person that you're dealing with knows that you're going to do this and has an answer for it, which may or may not be the case. So I think as long as you understand like kind of the flaws, the weaknesses, or the disadvantages of whatever it is the position you're using or the technique you're using, the sweep, whatever it may be, as long as you understand those and you're prepared to transition to something else when that goes wrong, I mean, I think almost anything, aside from maybe some of those videos I see popping on my Facebook feed all the time, I don't, like
Master Wong, dude, that guy.
Master Wong is a good example. Or I mean, how about how about any technique where the bad guy or the uke or whatever you want to call him just like stands there and lets you do whatever the fuck you want.
Fuck yeah, dude. I hate that shit, dude.
Like that, you know what? That always looks great, but in application it doesn't work that way, because if you punch me in the face more than 3 times consecutively and I don't move or do anything to adjust my position, then I'm a freaking retard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you deserve to get the shit beat out of you for that. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're like a bad guy, yeah, but at the same time, like, come on, dude.
But most people aren't going to just stand there and let you just throw 25 different techniques at them including an A-frame, an eye poke, and a throat rip out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not realistic. So I think within reason, I think anybody that does jiu-jitsu for a length of time understands what's realistic and what's not.
I think one of my favorite videos, and it is totally not realistic, I think it's mainly just because I would take maybe a few weeks off of jiu-jitsu just to train at this place just because it's so fucking, like, out of an 80s movie, like ninja movie. It was one video just floating around Facebook. It has, like, one dude in a red sleeveless ninja outfit. Everybody else is in black ninja outfits. There's one guy, like, holding a giant staff. They're doing, like, a testing where, like, the guy throws him down and he's doing, like, shoulder rolls all over him and, like, breaking his neck and stuff. Just, it was amazing. It was awesome. And, like, I know it's not realistic, but just to be, like, a ninja for 3 weeks in, like, an 80s movie would be pretty amazing. I think that's the only time I'd, like, willingly go jump on something like that.
Yeah. I mean, why not, though? You only go around this world one time. You might as well be a ninja for a weekend. It's fine.
I'd wear my sweet ninja outfit and my weird boots and go to the bar and tell everybody I'm the American Ninja or the Great White Ninja.
I mean, are you starting to lean toward, like, Beverly Hills Ninja?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
This is the path we're going right now? Some Chris Farley action going on?
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, seriously, that guy was
funny, man. Sad face.
Hilarious.
No, but
hilarious.
But there. What's funny is there are actually applications in certain martial arts that do work out. Like, what is it? Muay Thai. I was used to kicking from Taekwondo. Granted, it didn't make me a superstar kicking, but it at least got me a little ahead of the power curve when you first start. And then, like, just having somebody kick at your head kind of makes it a little more, like, you're a little more responsive and you can react a little better to it. But, like, punches to the head was a completely different story. That fucked me up real bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like, and that's another prime example of this whole conversation we're having. I mean, you look at Taekwondo, and Taekwondo catches a lot of flack, obviously, in the martial arts community these days, because of that very conversation, practicality. Well, there are definitely attributes that you develop and concepts that you learn in that system that, if you apply them correctly, makes you more capable of defending yourself. And agility, reflexes, the discipline of attending a class like that, and just understanding of body position and awareness. I mean, that already makes you a more capable human being. It's just that if you go into the wrong school and you head the wrong direction, then you start learning bad habits. And those are the hard things to overcome when you try to learn something that's very effective.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see guys in the UFC and in mixed martial arts organizations out there that utilize Taekwondo in a very effective way,
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I think it's all about how you employ it and the mindset that you go into it with,
No, you're 100% right. I mean, like, it's what you can see, like, some people do jump into certain martial arts and they're like, oh, this is the fucking ultimate, nothing can beat it, and then they fall into that trap. I mean, it's every martial art, honestly.
Yeah.
But, like, being able to take certain things, like Bruce Lee was talking about, take certain, like, keep what is good, discard whatever isn't, that's really good stuff. But, like, I just find it interesting. I had, like, a train of thought that I was going with, or I was running with here, but, like, oh, that's what it was. So, like, I'm on this weird training schedule now. Like, we just finished training / assessment this past Friday, and we celebrated going downtown in Fayetteville and making not fools of ourselves, but, like, they're like, hey, some of the guys on the team want to congratulate y'all. Like, where are we going? And I was like, they're like, we're going to Secrets. And if you guys don't know what Secrets is, it's the strip bar that people don't want to go to.
Well, I will say this. I was in Fayetteville for a short amount of time while I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And they gave us a binder of places we were banned from attending.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Secrets was, like, on the first page of that.
I was legitimately sitting there. I was like, dude, this is fucking terrible. Like, this is the worst place we could go. And it's just the dudes I was with, it was just like even funnier. I was like, I cannot believe this group of people is hanging out here. But anyway, so like now that that's all done, I've been getting to like roll around here and there, and something I'm finding myself doing is not trying to hit the fancy stuff right now, because I'm trying to ease back into it, because it has legitimately been 3 months since I've been rolling more than twice a week. So now I'm just doing basics against everybody. Like, do you find yourself kind of reverting back sometimes? Are you still like pushing the pace on certain advanced techniques?
No, I think I agree with you, actually, and I was thinking it was ironic that you were saying that, because I have found myself kind of going back to some of my older things I used to do, more basic ideas, trying to really tighten up my game. I think the only thing that I'm still kind of playing with it maybe is a little bit more advanced, and maybe like a little bit of De La Riva guard and some of the guard concepts. But when I talk about, finishing submissions from top, or controlling top positions, or, the escapes and stuff like that, and guard passing, it's really reverting back to the fundamentals. So I think we're kind of in the same place on that.
Yeah, because, for a while I was playing a lot of guard just because I always have this in the back of my mind that my guard needs to be as good as it can be being a big guy. Because when another big guy jumps on top of you and you do the whole, like, I can't breathe type thing because there's a giant dude trying to smash you, like, it's always good to be able to get out of it. But what I've been finding myself doing is kind of reverting back to, like, a cross between what Brian taught me and a cross between what my coach Joshua Cooksley taught me. It was kind of the walk yourself up and mount and get their arms over their head, and then I transition to like an S-guard like Brian taught, and just try to take whatever arm is sticking straight out and bend it backwards.
Right.
But
No, I think that's, I'm kind of in the same boat. You adapt and adopt techniques from different instructors you've been exposed to, and I think, obviously I had trained with Brian for a few years. I still have a lot of his game and his elements in my system, and now I train with Brad for the past couple of years. I've got some of his, which is more kind of, I think, control via movement based. That's kind of how he plays. Very, very smooth, very fluid, and I even have a little bit of Braga starting to come in now because I'm going out and training.
Nice.
And that's kind of, I think, where some of the De La Riva is coming in now, because I never really played with that guard much, but he's big on it.
Yeah.
And so, you pick up on that stuff, but I still feel like, and I think I've always felt this way, that the fundamentals are still the most important. And if you have sound, tight, dangerous fundamentals, that's going to keep you dangerous, and your survivability is going to go through the roof no matter what,
Yeah, everybody also does have that kind of, they have a different philosophy. Mind you, I really do appreciate certain philosophies, like, the majority of the people I've trained with it, or trained under, has been like, take them down and finish the fight. Be on top, stay on top. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it really pays off. But, I know Andre Kia is the guy I trained under in Arizona. We worked a lot of guard stuff, which really helped out my guard. And then, like, trained under Lamont Tyler for a bit in Virginia. It was all about really starting to learn my throws and working on those as well, and just trying to continue it through. But it's definitely interesting to see what you keep from different instructors, and then like how it just randomly shows up in the middle of a roll that you completely forgot about it. You're like, oh shit, I forgot I could do this.
Well, and it is interesting, and then you start bringing all the pieces together, and I think there are different philosophies, different gyms, different lineages have different approaches. And I remember when I went to a law enforcement seminar with Carlson Gracie Jr. a couple of years ago out in Charlotte. Pretty similar to the GST thing I'm doing now. And I learned that, his style of jiu-jitsu is much like what you said a minute ago, much more about get control, get on top, finish the fight on top. That's very much Carlson Gracie, And I really liked that. Like, I liked that approach, because in law enforcement, that's kind of how it needs to be. And then even today in GST, they talked about that, they kind of threw a curveball out there in the class, and I bit it pretty hard. They got me with it. They said, if they were working on back takes at the moment, they said, would you rather be on somebody's back or have them on their back? Like, would you rather have them belly down or belly up on top, and you're on top? Shit. Which one would you rather have? And I was like, thinking jujitsu, right? Because
Yeah.
we're in a jujitsu environment. I'm not using cop brain, and so I bit, man. I was like, man, I'd rather have their back. Like that's to me that's the most dominant position in jujitsu is if you have somebody's back. And they said in law enforcement that's actually not true. You want them so that they're belly up. You want to have them on their back and be in mount. Because, and this is what they said. At first I was like, man, I'm curious to see how this goes because I didn't agree. And then it just kind of shows the different levels in this game, right? Because they said, no, if you're in law enforcement, you want them on their back. You want to be in mount because, you want to get them on their belly so you can handcuff them, but you can't handcuff them until you have them under control.
Oh, good point.
And I'm just like, see, and I was stuck in jiu-jitsu mode. I'm thinking on your back, I'm going to choke you out or I'm going to have control of you. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, but in law enforcement, he's 100% correct. He's 100% right in that, because I tell my students that in when I'm teaching cops, is like, look, don't even worry about taking your handcuffs out until you have some element of control over them, because otherwise you're just tying your own hands up, And so he's 100% right. And I was like, man, I gotta kind of eat my ego on that one. But
well, I mean, the good news is you're able to recognize that, and like you said, you ate your ego, but now you have that extra piece, like you can kind of maybe put it in your brain, like, okay, trying to control a suspect, and now we like, oh, don't get him to his belly, keep him on his back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it. Imagine if I haven't had a chance, and more than likely, if I'm fighting somebody, I haven't had a chance to really search them thoroughly yet. You don't want them to turn belly down where they can possibly access a weapon in their waistband without you don't do anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you're better off having them facing you where you can control their hands and you can, wear them out, kind of cook the beans a little bit and then get them in control and then handcuff them, then turn them over when they're exhausted, So I was like, yeah, that's a valid point, but it shows the different styles, the different approaches and philosophies,
See, I wasn't even thinking of that aspect with the weapon in the waistband or anything like that. Like, my mind, when you said that, like, you don't have them under control, I immediately thought of somebody doing that really annoying, like, clasp the hands together, put their elbows underneath, and you can't do anything to, like, break them open in the sense with, like, law enforcement. I mean, there's obviously jiu-jitsu stuff you can do, but you can't, like, do a cross-collar choke from the rear. On a person, you know what I mean? So like,
well, no, and I think a lot of people don't understand that about this too. If you look at, especially with the listeners being predominantly jiu-jitsu players, in law enforcement, we can't just put a choke on somebody. That's considered deadly force, at least in the state of North Carolina and most other places. I mean, that's considered deadly force, and so you can't just do that without being justified in using that level of force.
Yeah.
And so. Choke, and I think that's wrong. I think that honestly, if you think about how many times you've been choked in jiu-jitsu,
like out, or like just in general.
No, just choked, just in general.
Shit, man, I can't even, dude. Way more than I can count.
Exactly. I mean, I think I've only been put out once. Once I know for sure. I don't believe it's been any more than that. I mean, we've all kind of started going the stairway to heaven and started feeling a little, lightheaded and shit. That happens all the time. But as far as one time, I know that I've been put out. But we've been choked. All of us have been choked countless times, and we're all still here. So clearly it's not deadly force, because deadly force is defined as force that is readily capable and highly likely of causing serious physical injury or death. Well, I'm still here. You're still. How many times have you been hurt by a choke? Seriously hurt by a choke?
Shit, none actually. I was trying to think back. Like, unless somebody punched me in the throat on accident.
Right.
That doesn't count.
But we get hurt by arm bars and leg locks and shit like that all the time, right? I've had my intercostals, my rib torn before from trying to escape from mount, but I've never been hurt by a choke. So it's not deadly force, it's just perception, But if you think about it, here's the thing about chokes, though. If you're reaching for a weapon or you're reaching for your pocket and I sink a rear naked choke on you, what do you think your immediate response is going to be?
Get the arm off you.
Exactly. Every single time. So what are you not doing?
Going for your weapon.
Right?
Exactly.
So that should be a go-to technique in law enforcement, but these lawmakers, these attorneys, and the public, they just don't know. They're ignorant to it. So here we are.
And that's the thing, too, because like you said, I kind of look at it from a jiu-jitsu perspective. It was like, yeah, why the fuck not? Just cross-collar choke them. You're not going to kill them because all you're going to do is put them out, roll them on their side, subdue them, they're going to wake up and they're going to feel rested, because I always felt rested after getting put out from a choke. But
So here's a quick chokeout story for you.
all right.
Have you ever met Gil? He used to train with us.
Oh,
He
fuck.
had like a judo and a wrestling background. Older guy. He just moved to Greensboro, and I hated to see him go. He was awesome to have around the gym. Hilarious guy.
Maybe, like, one of the few times I stopped in the past few years, I might have.
So we were rolling the one day. He was a blue belt, and I think at the time I was a purple belt. And we're rolling. He gets some semblance of a cross collar choke on me, and of course we know, like, look, I mean, if you don't respect it, it's dangerous from almost anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so he gets a cross collar choke from the top position. I end up sweeping him because he had no base. So I scissor sweep him. We roll over. I end up on top, and I'm like, man, I'm not fucking tapping into this cross collar choke when I'm on top. Like, there's no way. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not going to be that purple belt getting choked out from guard. You know what I mean? Like, with a cross collar choke from this position. Not even guard. I think I was in mount. I think I actually swept him and climbed into mount. So I was like, no, I'm not giving that up. So I'm trying to block his elbow and kind of push on it a little bit to free up a little bit of space off my carotid. I'm just kind of buying time, and I'm hoping he's just going to, like, kind of get bored with it or whatever, or break one of his hands off of my collar. And the next thing I know, man, I'm out. You know, like, I came to because he let go and I had that head rush.
Yeah.
And so when I come back to, I'm still on top of him, and we just keep rolling. And so it dawned on me that he didn't realize he had choked me out. So he just gave up on the choke.
Wow.
So we keep rolling. The round timer goes off. The roll is over. And he looks at me and he goes, "Man, I thought I had that choke." And I was like, you were close." So now is a true test. If Gil listens to this podcast, he will officially know that he choked me out when I was a purple belt.
Damn. Dude, those judo guys are really sneaky with some of that shit too, man. Like, from anywhere.
Yeah. He had that old man strength too. You know what I'm talking
yeah.
about? Yeah.
I'm just biding my time until I get that. Just need to be the old dude with, like, the crazy grip strength or whatever. But
hey, some guys have it, man. Some guys have it.
they really do. No, I was thinking, like, any position is dangerous. I was thinking about that too. Like, you know, they always talk about, like, whenever you're in guard, don't, you know, go for a submission. Always look for the pass. You know, like, I mean, like, as far as, like, trying to choke somebody or put them in a key lock or something like that instead of, you know, full guard. Like,
Right.
I've preached it so many times to my guys. I'm like, you know, stop doing that. But we had, you know, a couple of judo guys come in, and I'd roll with them, and I got them in full guard, and I'm controlling them. And Justin, he's a corn-fed big old fella, and he loves his judo, and he wrapped me up in kind of a semblance of, like, it was a modified cross collar, and he tripoded out, like, right on my throat with the collar. And I'm like, I should be fine here. And then I wasn't fine there. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of this, dude. Like, it's, some of those guys are the exception to the rule, man. Like, I think I swept it, like, you know, helicopter sweep, just kind of rolled back with it. And I was still, like, having a hard time getting his hands off of me because, like you said, even when I was mounted, he was still, like, tightening it up. So I just kind of really had to fight for an armbar on that one. But, oh my God, dude. There's some magic judo guys do. I don't know how they do it, but
There are, yeah. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with their phenomenal grips. I mean, you figure that, especially look at the higher levels of judo, it seems like a lot of times those matches are decided by who can get that dominant grip first. You know, so they're crazy about that.
yeah.
But
You know, I thought I had bad fingers from jiu-jitsu. Like, there's some guys. Oh, nah. Jiu-jitsu guys have nothing on judo guys or bad fingers.
no, absolutely not. Well, and I think a lot of times the wrestlers have us beat in terms of cauliflower ear too.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I'm actively avoiding, like, getting my ears done. Like, you know, I'm very lucky. Like, I was reading about it because somebody was like, oh, what was it? My old battalion commander, not or on the reserve side, he was like, oh, you do jiu-jitsu? Yeah, I was like, yeah, I do jiu-jitsu. He's like, well, you don't have any cauliflower ear. I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
I get a little bit, man. Like, you know, if you look really hard, you can tell. But, like, But then I was reading about it. It was like, if you have like really soft, floppy ear, like I do, like you can roll my ears no problem, and they don't crack.
Yeah. Well, and that's Brian had the conversation with me one day years ago about that very idea. So it's cool to know that there's like some science behind it. But he had talked about how some people just aren't as prone to cauliflower ear as others. I mean, it's just because Brian didn't have very bad cauliflower ear.
No, he
didn't. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu for a long ass time. I just started getting some that's noticeable, but it's still not anywhere near as bad as what I've seen in some other people that haven't been doing it half as long as I have. So you just always wonder, like, man, what is it? Your style of jiu-jitsu? Is it genetics? I guess it's a mixture of both, but
might be.
You see some guys though that their ears are almost completely closed off,
and they're dudes who want it. Like,
Yeah.
I think I told my battalion commander this too. I was like, everybody wants cauliflower ear until they get cauliflower ear. And like even the little, like I'm in my right ear on the inside, like the really, really, really like close to the ear canal. Like I had it a couple times. I got it drained once just because it kind of puffed up in there. But I'd fall asleep and I'd roll over on my right hand side and wake up because it hurt. Because I'd roll right under my ear and I'm like, dude, this fucking sucks. And I'd try to go back to sleep. Like, it's cool until you got to, put headphones on or put a ear protection on and you're like, dude, this shit hurts. This is fucking stupid.
Well, and it just flares up sometimes. There's really no, there's just no rhyme or reason to it. And sometimes it's just, it's irritating. And there's nothing more annoying than like a fresh batch of cauliflower ear because, like you said, it's just sore as shit. It's. I've got a little bit of it in both ears now. It's more noticeable in my right, and I think that's where your style plays into it. Like if you predominantly have it in your right ear, it might mean that you're, like for me when I knee cut, a lot of times I go to that side. So that side is that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just it's definitely a nuisance. I mean, trust me, people aren't. It's not like ladies are lining up to be like, oh, he's got cauliflower ear. It's not as cool as people make it out to be.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. And that was the other thing too. In like Europe, it's like half and half. Like either they wrestled or did some grappling, or they played rugby. That was it.
Yeah. You're right. I never thought about rugby. That'd be a good cause of it too.
Yeah. So, because I ran to some dude and he had like just nasty cauliflower. I'm like, oh shit, you judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu? He's like, no, I play rugby. I'm like, oh, well, that'll do it. That's a good reason. I was like, oh, thank God. And I realized the dude probably could just pick me up and just put me right through a table. That dude was fucking huge, man.
I just want to run into somebody that just, they like wear really tight headphones or earmuffs all the time, and that's why they have cauliflower. Just some stupid.
My moped really helmet's stupid. Really tight, and it just keeps rolling my ears.
There's no cool reason for it whatsoever.
Was it like on King of the Hill where Hank was really excited that Bobby might have turf toe from playing football, but it turned out to be gout from eating like that New York deli from like eating liver sandwiches all the time? Yeah.
Well, so here's another one on that, man. I went to this place called Bounce U, which is over in Apex, and it's got like I don't know, it's got like these big inflatable jump houses and stuff, and they're big enough that adults can go on them.
Oh shit.
And so I go over there with a bunch of my friends and their kids, and we go over there, we're having a blast. And they had like one of those, it was almost like reminiscent of an American Ninja Warrior type of setup.
Oh, wow.
Where it had these two ends where you had these little platforms, and then you had to run across these inflated balls. Like there's giant inflated balls.
Oh, yeah. Like on a Wipeout, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to kill this. Like I'm pretty agile. I'm a small guy. I'm quick. I can nail this, And so, man, I ran across that thing, and I ate it so fucking hard. Like, I mean, it wasn't even. And there's a video of it. I'll have to show you sometime.
Oh,
I run across. I get across the first one. I hit the second one, and I lose it. There's just no way I was gonna keep my balance. And I try my best to recover the position. I end up falling off. I go face first into the third ball, bounce off of that, and like almost do a flip in the air, and then land in the pit.
Oh shit!
And it was just like this horrible wipeout, right?
Yeah.
And so I tried this probably half a dozen times because I do not like to fail at stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm like, man, my knees are going to. I'm going to blow out an ACL or something trying this. Like, I got to stop because I'm getting tired. And I'm just thinking to myself, what would happen though? Like, if I blew out an ACL trying to run across an inflated like a jump house, I'm not claiming that. I'm claiming jiu-jitsu all day. I got heel hooked. Somebody some badass came in the gym and he hooked the shit out of me and tore everything in my knee. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
You know, I'm definitely not going to go with a jump house.
I mean, I guess guys in jiu-jitsu at least respect it, but at the same time, you can't tell it to outside people. How'd you get hurt? Was it martial arts? Nah, man, I fell off an inflatable thing in a bounce house. What? What was it? Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I'm going with jiu-jitsu. If it happened, I would have said jiu-jitsu did it, not the jump house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta go.
Well,
Gotta come with a cool story if you get an injury.
Yeah, you got a legit. You have a legit alibi at that point, so nobody really questioned it. And then they're like, "Oh, you poor thing." Like, "Oh man, you must be pretty tough," which goes back into, "Oh, dude." And then my coworkers, they came over for the pre-celebration. They came over we broke in the bar, had a couple drinks, and they looked like, "Holy shit, you do jiu-jitsu?" I'm like, "Yes, I do jiu-jitsu." Why didn't you say anything? Like, because the 15-minute conversation we're having right now about it. Because you guys...
Yeah. I mean, you tried to go with woodworking. I guess that didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Oh, dude, did you see the picture of the bar top?
It looks great.
Yeah, thanks.
I can't wait to go over there and break it in a little further, man.
Oh, the paneling should be done. Well, shit, I have another training on next week. Oh, we'll make it work. Fuck it. It'll be ready at some point. So
We need to come out there and do a buzzed episode, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's plenty to be had. People they paid tribute to the bar and they brought a bottle to donate. So that was very nice of them.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So before we head out, Randy, is there anything you want to say to our guests, or not our guests, our listeners?
They're guests. They're
guests. They listen.
They're in the house of the Big Jiu-Jitsu podcast. They're guests. No, I mean, same as always. Just hit us up. Let us know what you want to hear about or what you liked or didn't like. And if you didn't like it, then Rob will punch you in the mouth. And
Jesus, no, I won't.
But keep listening. We're still going. We're still going strong and just getting stronger every day. So.
Yeah, that's really all I got. Don't forget to, like us, review us, subscribe to us on iTunes, whatever your preferred podcasting listening platform is. Please follow us and follow all of our old episodes on bjjshow.com. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
We'll catch you guys next time.